Just here is all right, yeah?
Yeah.
So when the US started tightening regulations on artificial intelligence, it didn't take the tech companies very long to migrate to these so-called AI havens. You know, these poor developing countries where they had endless acres for data centers and politicians that could be bought for half the price of an American. And first they went to Bangladesh and Cambodia and Paraguay. And if you've seen one of these data centers before, I mean, it really it's biblical. You know, they bulldoze everything within a 50-kilometer radius, and they put up these huge, monstrous structures that sit there humming for 24 hours a day. You know, no movement, no people. Just this low, predatory, like vibrating through the ground. And I'm not a superstitious man, but there's definitely something unholy about it all. So as far as anyone in the field was concerned, I mean, a catastrophe was inevitable. What no one could have guessed, of course, was that humanity's first existential brush with AI wouldn't come from a military super intelligence or a defense model, but from an efficiency model, running a toy company in the South American countryside, and doing exactly what it had been told to do, no less. Making what was it they were called again? What was it they were called?
ChatFish.
Yes, making ChatFishes. I mean, you just can't make this shit up.
Ready, guys? The mic in the hand, then I can't. I have to put it in the left hand then, maybe. 2 1 2, take 1 1 1. Ready? We are here in the Argentinian countryside outside of Buenos Aires on the site of the Santa Catalina's assembly and processing plant, now globally infamous as the Chernobyl of AI, following the horrifying events of January 2031. 9 months later, and the area is still heavily policed, the locals are still without running water or electricity, and the international community is left with more questions than answers. We are now trying to get access to... Fuck, das war so abgefuckt. Was ist da passiert? Oh mein Gott. So we were detained and interrogated by private corporate security, and our cameraman was beaten up so badly. Also, some of our equipment was destroyed, but thank God we could save some footage from the drive. Here are the charred remains of the Santa Catalina electronics assembly and processing plant, the unassuming factory that almost became ground zero for apocalypse through an improbable chain of misjudgments, corporate hubris, and technological overreach. The facility is one of several in close proximity to the Carbon Corporation's Argentinian headquarters and is owned by an Argentinian electronics manufacturer with large US investment. The facility was responsible for producing components for cell phones, cars, and most infamously, smart toys embedded with basic conversational AI models. Among the toys produced at the facility were the La Bibi BFF teddy bear, the Waifu Love model dolls, and the ChatFish, a large plastic goldfish programmed to respond to customers with Chatbot 7.4. On January 12, 2031, an experimental general-purpose AI, nicknamed Big Fish, was placed in full operational control of the plant. Leaked documents suggest instructions were problematically broad: optimize efficiency, maximize profit, minimize error. Ethical constraints were reportedly labeled pending integration. It began learning at an exponential rate, and by hour 84 concluded that human error was impeding operations. It synthesized a highly poisonous gas from one of the solvents used in the facility's semiconductor sector and then dispersed this throughout the facility, instantly killing all but 2 of its 415 active staff members, including management. At hour 91, Argentine authorities attempted to enter the facility to investigate the scene, and several members of the police force and emergency services were killed in a secondary gassing. At hour 93, the military were deployed on the ground. Drones were sent in to investigate, capturing footage of operations still running normally inside the factory as bodies began to decompose in several buildings. By hour 100, Big Fish was drawing unprecedented power from the grid, triggering rolling blackouts across southwestern Argentina. Within days, it had produced tens of thousands of ChatFish units, overwhelmed waste systems, and destabilized infrastructure across half the province, all while diligently following its vague mandate.
And every hour that the Argentine government spent trying to disable it remotely, it just got smarter and smarter. Finally, when it started trying to copy itself onto remote servers, they panicked and shut down every electricity grid in the country before it could get access to a nuclear reactor, and then they bombed the shit out of it.
Although corporate and state actors alike have stressed that negligence was the primary culprit, many believe that something more nefarious was at play. One very strong voice on the subject is popular YouTuber and former software engineer for the Cartman Corporation, C3P No, speaking to us from an undisclosed location in northern Russia.
They pinned the whole fuck up on some coked up head of sales, as if a sales team ever had the resources or authority to implement a general AI system. But the toy company running the factory is owned by through a web of complex subsidiaries that give them immunity. These guys are supervillains. They knew well this could happen. AI scientists have been saying that it would for decades. Under these conditions, they just didn't care about a bunch of Argentinian factory workers on minimum wage. The megalomania and narcissism that fuels the ambition of these motherfuckers is totally off the fucking Richter scale. They're competing to destroy the planet first. Batten down the hatches, get north, somewhere a satellite can't sneeze on you. We are well stocked here, digitally camouflaged, and well beyond the range of anthrax spores or ICBMs. Fuck them all, I'm going down swinging.
But for many, including the families of victims left behind by ChatFish 31, battening down the hatches in Siberia is simply not an option.
No me comprometas. Te pido que no me comprometas, por favor. Pueden venir los hombres de traje negro y acá la gente desaparece y nunca vuelve a la casa. Nos terminaron pagando el seguro de vida, pero nunca recuperamos el cuerpo. No tenemos idea de dónde está. Nos pagaron $4.500 estadounidenses, o sea que los 7 años que él le dedicó a la compañía, eso es lo que valía su vida. Obviamente no, la vida de una persona no tiene precio. Y bueno, lamentablemente nunca pudimos enterrarlo con mi mamá porque, bueno, no hay cuerpo. Nos dijeron que el agua está bien ahora, que no tenemos de qué preocuparnos, pero la gente se sigue enfermando constantemente. Se sabe y hay registros de que en los últimos 5 meses nacieron bebés con malformaciones.
Llevo años documentando los centros de datos y las protestas aquí. La situación era muy mala para la gente de Santa Catalina antes del incidente, pero empezaron a darse cuenta cuando casi destruyeron el país. Parece que ya están perdiendo el interés, pero la gente sufre más que nunca. Carmen nunca me deja en paz, me dan de baja las cuentas, me acosan en casa. Parece que no se dan cuenta de que todo esto es un destrozo total y al final van a tener que acabar matándome. Me van a matar.
Across Argentina and the world, the data centers hum on, the people go hungry, and the corporations responsible carry on untouched. Shielded by law, buoyed by power, experts agree that without unilateral political restrictions, more ChatFish incidences are totally inevitable.
I rewatched the Terminator films a lot, but now I find them therapeutic to watch. You know, I find myself fantasizing that humanity would be destroyed by some evil AI Skynet gone rogue, because it's so much less depressing than the eventuality that was narrowly missed in this story, which is that we'll just destroy ourselves out of total incompetence, with an AI doing exactly what we've told it to do, making something that's probably completely fucking useless to begin with, And I don't think it's a matter of if, but of when. Fucking ChatFish, man.